Hey everyone, and welcome back to Gotta Go Orlando. Today we are diving into one of the most rumoured and talked about construction sites at Universal Studios. Yes, the former home to Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit. We already know the shipment is on the way from Intamin to Universal City Development Partners, and the site has seen a lot of demolition and even the start of laying them new foundations for that new roller coaster. So today I'm splitting the site into 3 sections and decoding what's happening, and even seeing if we can see any clues to what's coming. And as always, if you know something about the site and what is possibly coming, or even some ideas and thoughts, comment down below. So as of recording this video, we all know the site has been cleared from the Rip Ride Rockit roller coaster, and there is only 2 sections left. First is the lift hill and a second piece of track which wrapped around the station. But that's not all. Most of the original foundations have been removed and new foundations have already started to appear around the site. So the 3 sections of the site we're going to speak about today is the firehouse end, located across from the original tribute store, where the new station will sit, and the maintenance building and ride vehicle storage. Then we have the slim section that runs in front of soundstage 24 to 21 to the Rip Ride Rockit lift hill and station, and the final section at the front of the park next to the former Nickelodeon building, running towards City Walk and the waterways. And there is so much to see in all 3 sections. So let's dive in at section 1 with the front of the park, the area that sits to the side of Universal Studios entrance, the Hard Rock in front of the former Nickelodeon building, and the opposite side of the walkway next to the waterway. So this area seems to be the most developed. All the original footers and supports and track work have been removed. You can see that the drainage is in, and footers have started to pop up all over the site. You can also see round structures made from rebar which are waiting for steel cylindrical forms to be placed around them, then filled with concrete. Once the concrete has gone off, they remove the form, and this is what the coaster supports will sit on and be bolted to. The only way I can describe these forms are giant cake pans. Now we can start to see the beginning of what the layout could be like in this section, with the spaced out footers being the high points for the coaster and footers positioned close together for the lower valley points of the coaster. Now this site is split into 2. The first half is with the footers and the second half is a bit of a construction site. This area has also been used for storing the broken down steel from Rip Ride Rockit, ready for it to be removed for recycling. And once Rip Ride Rockit is fully demolished, this area will be cleared and footers will start to appear here too. Now onto the section in front of the waterway, separated by a walkway. Here we can see a foundation drilling rig, which is used to bore down deep into the ground until they hit solid ground. This is so foundation piles and piers can be placed deep into the ground for maximum load bearing. So whatever's going in this section is going to be pretty heavy, and it needs to be able to deal with that load. So could it be that vertical spike which the ride vehicle will launch up, then roll back on itself into some form of a switch track element, which will put the ride vehicle facing forward again? Or could this be the 90-degree vertical launch coaster 51-1058 that Intamin builds? I guess we'll just have to wait for the foundations to go in this second half. Now we're going to move over to the section that is squeezed between the sound stages, the Universal Music Plaza stage, and Rip Ride Rockit's lift and station. This area has seen very little construction started, but there is a reason for that. In this area we haven't seen any footers or drainage being installed, but all the existing footers have been flattened, apart from one. This is so that big crane can navigate back and forth up and down the site. And recently it's just moved towards the Rip Ride Rocket station and lift hill. And as we've seen in recent days, the lift hill has started to be dismantled and the final sections of the station have been demolished. I do feel that this middle section and site will be one of the last sections to receive any construction, mainly so they can access both ends of the work site from back of house easily, moving equipment, cranes and materials without having to disrupt any of the park operations. Once the final sections of Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket is cleared and large equipment like cranes can travel the full site, I'm sure things will start to go vertical and foundations will be poured at the fire station end and Nickelodeon end. Steel work should start to arrive soon for the ride maintenance building and station, and at the front of the park we'll see more foundations and piles ready for the ride supports, all working backwards towards the centre of the park and site. Now we're going to move on to that fire which was reported earlier last week. What we need to understand is they are cutting up Rip Ride Rocket with plasma cutters, which can reach extremely high temperatures ranging from 16,000 to 22,000 Celsius or 30,040,000 Fahrenheit. This is hotter than the surface of the sun. When you mix years of oil buildup inside the chain lift channel and the heat from the plasma cutter, the oil can catch. The fact that it's a vertical lift will mean the heat will rise up the channel, igniting more of that oil. Then the hot oil will start to melt and pour down the channel as well, causing the flames to run along the full length of the lift centre. These things happen. Some rumours was also saying that it was a controlled burn, but I guess we'll never know and we just have to leave it at that. But it's important to note this happened whilst they was removing the top curved section of the lift hill and 2 workers were left at the top of the lift. But everybody is okay and well. Now we'll move on to the final section of the construction site, which is at the firehouse end of the park. This site has been fully cleared, ready for drainage to be installed around what will be 2 new buildings. The first building is 3 stories. This will house the pre-show, the coaster line or queue, lockers similar to what you'll find on Velocicoaster, and the loading platform. The second building is going to be a 2-story gross facility building, Foundation 51A, which will be the maintenance and storage platform for the ride vehicles when not in use. This building will give team members access to the underside of the ride vehicles for inspections of the wheel assembly and undercarriage of the coaster. The building will also house the workshop for repairs and storage. The permit was filed on March the 24th, 2025 and expires on September the 22nd, but construction for this building could continue well after that. The permit also stated that storm water, sanitary, chilled water, portable water, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, low voltage, fire alarm and fire suppression systems would be included. And you can see from this photo the alignment and symmetry of the foundations, which are being formed out with timber waiting for rebar to be placed, could suggest there may be 2 ride vehicle bays, all depending on the length of them ride vehicles, and most likely with the position of the building and them foundations there could be 1 to 2 exits for the ride vehicles to move forwards out of the building and sit just before a transfer track in front of a launch. Line 1 and 2 will be the bays for the maintenance, and number 3 potentially could be a transition track, moving the ride vehicles over to the building exit. All we're waiting for now is how the platform foundations will be placed in the main ride building. This will give us the direction of the platform and where the transfer track will be. This track could be placed as location 1, but for now I'm just assuming it would sit in this location just before the ride's first launch section. Now for the potential ride plaza and queue line area. As this part of the park is a dead end and it doesn't lead to another land or section of park, we are most likely looking at an outdoor queue line plaza, which could possibly sit directly in front of the firehouse building. But we are way off seeing any details on this section of construction. Could the original tribute store be turned into the attraction gift shop? Hence why at this time Universal swap back and forth with tribute stores. Lots of rumours are still flying around for the theme of this attraction, with most falling towards it being the Fast and the Furious IP, which could mean the Ghostbusters Firehouse being restored and maybe being used as a meet and greet in the future. And what will happen with the original Fast and the Furious ride? Some are saying it could be turned into a Back to the Future ride, but I have to be honest, I hope with a new ride system. I mean, it did say on a certain permit that Intamin was working on rides, not ride. Interesting, right? So with foundations going in and the fact the shipment from Intamin could arrive any time, we could see the first supports arriving on the construction site way before the holidays. I guess we'll just have to keep our eyes open over at Epic Universe and that expansion plot, as I do think this will be used as a staging area for the new attraction. And once we see them supports and track, it may give us an insight to what type of coaster we're getting. A Hollywood drift spinning coaster or a vertical launch coaster. I'm hoping it's gonna be the latter, but we could all be way off. It might be something completely different and off our radar. Like I've said in the past, I'm hoping we'll get some nod to Rip Ride Rockit with some form of tall element to sit in a skyline like the original lift hill, or maybe a non-inverting loop. All I know is Universal Studios really needs this coaster to open fast, as it's one of the outdoor big thrills studios had and needs, and it's kind of missed. This is why I feel Universal is not messing around when it comes to the removal and footers being placed. As we have seen, they are working into the night with this phase of the project, and steel work generally flies up pretty quick. The Rip Ride Rockit site is giving us plenty to think about, from possible new thrills to major park reimagining. So which section of the construction site do you think gives us the most details about what could be coming? Is it the ride building's end or the city walk end? What do you think the IP could be? Are you team Fast and the Furious or team Ghostbusters, or even Back to the Future? Drop your thoughts below. This video was made by using BioReconstruct Photos. You can find him here on YouTube and on X. And stick around as we'll be covering more on the developments to this project and other projects happening here in Orlando, Florida. So please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell and share with your friends and family, as it really helps the channel grow. Want even more Orlando, Florida updates? Don't forget to check out our website that covers everything that's happening here in Orlando, Florida. It's gottagoorlando.com, or scan the QR. Now get out there and go and make some memories. Thank you for watching today, and I hope to see you on our next video. Bye YouTube!